This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Schola in the new Full Battle Rattle studios.
Thinking Americans thought and watched Donald Trump rip the veil off a rigged system that has betrayed your average, everyday, hard-working, garden-variety, ticked-off American.
From Pussycat Doll to Trump supporter, the dynamic and talented Kaya Jones is here today to talk about her support for our president and how her going public is helping so many others. She's a recording artist and a great patriot. Stay tuned for Kaya Jones on Mama Grizzly Radio. Plus, we'll have the latest national and Alaska headlines in Sarah Palin News. We'll visit the Crow's Nest with Tanya Crow in California. Also from the Golden State, Kelly Carlson is on target. And a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert coming up from Texas. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by Full Battle Rattle. Full Battle Rattle, helping veterans suffering from combat-related disabilities through the healing power of music. Learn more at facebook.com/FullBattleRattleABQ. She was a member of the popular Pussycat Dolls. Now, Kaya Jones is the EDM princess, an amazing DJ, and the recording artist is not shy about her love of our exceptional country and our president. And right now, we welcome Kaya Jones to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Kaya, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you so much for being with us. And, you know, it's been a powerful 4 weeks here on the program with Andre Soriano and Joy Villa and Christy Swanson and now yourself. And, you know, we're told that people in the entertainment industry don't like our president. People in the entertainment industry have a problem with our country. And it seems like we're proving just the opposite week after week. So we're happy to have you here. And I know you've been huge for Donald Trump. And, you know, I've asked this question to others, but I want to get your, own unique take on this. Why did Donald Trump speak to you? Why is he your guy?
Well, there's many reasons. I can't pinpoint just one. I mean, the top for me is I respected him before as a businessman. I always paid attention to what he was doing. He's been in media for some time, so he's always been an influence in media and being a significant businessman. So that is something that, I think everyone can say without a question of a doubt. If you were American and you didn't know who he was, you were living on another planet or something. Being aware of him is one thing, but then when he started to push his narrative, it was refreshing. It was something that we hadn't heard I have never heard it. Just everything that we all have felt and thought was coming out of someone's mouth in complete truth, and there was no dishonesty in it. There was a lot of truth behind his statements. So it felt right, to kind of start paying attention to him more so than every other candidate. And when he then started speaking about Orlando and coming from a different narrative of, not part of the establishment, that just sold me. And that was that. So I kind of made my decision early. It was very early. It was as soon as he announced I thought he was going to win. I didn't know if I was going to vote for him or not. And then immediately I would say maybe 3 or 4 months into the campaign.
Yeah, I was the same way. And, I think you make a great point, though, about that name recognition and about people knowing Mr. Trump before he was President Trump, because, the Republican candidate, no matter who it is, doesn't have that benefit of having the media behind them and having, all of the left behind them, some of Republicans behind them, and they get this,
right.
This free backing. And I said all along, you can like who you like, you can pick who you want, but this is the only guy who's going to beat Hillary Clinton. One, because of that recognition, and two, he's the only one who would have had the guts to stand up and fight back.
Yeah.
Because we know how they fight. It's not pretty. And if you take it, well, then you're John McCain and Mitt Romney, and you back down and you lose.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to go for it. And he had no fear. And that's, a big thing. I kind of like the fact that everyone's a little scared of him. They should be. He's our president. They should be a little concerned with who's running our country and know that if they don't do things ethically or the right way, there's consequences for action.
I like the way you put that, and I would take it a step further. We're getting back now to the days, of Ronald Reagan, where perhaps other countries who want to do us harm will be scared of the United States of America, and that's a very healthy fear. You have a diverse background. I want to talk about that a little bit because, this is another false narrative that we hear all the time. And we just mentioned our guests from the past few weeks, Joy Villa, who's Black and Italian and, a vegan on this program. And then Andre Soriano, a gay Filipino legal immigrant. And here you are. And tell me if I'm getting any of this wrong. But you're from Canada originally, and your father Native American, your mother Jamaican. Is this all correct?
Yes. I was born in Canada, so I actually have 2 birth certificates because I was American born abroad.
Okay.
So I was born in Canada. My mom was working there, but my father is Native American and my mother is Jamaican. Yes.
Yeah.
This is true.
So here you go again. Another thing where we're told that Native Americans hate Donald Trump, and that it's amazing. All you'd have to do is listen to this show from January or before until now, and you look at the guests. And listen, we've had plenty of white Christian men on here too, but we've also had a lot of people that fall into these categories. And I don't even think of it like that because we just like to have great people on the show. But the left likes to play this game, so we'll hit them back with it and say, well, here you go. Here's our diverse crowd who, guess what, wants to make America great again with Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think, that's the point, is that the narrative that's being pushed is that, if you're a woman, if you're a minority, if you're gay, then you automatically are going to vote for Hillary. And that's not true.
I think it's just so many people are quiet about it. And that's another reason why we really appreciate what you're doing, is that you're out there speaking. You're someone, who has some name recognition, and that other people, regular Americans, if you will, everyday folks will say, wait a minute. If the Joy Villas and the Christy Swansons and the Joneses of the world will speak up, well, then I guess I can too. And, Joy mentioned that, and I'm sure you've had some of this too. People have called her, people have emailed and have said, hey, look, I'm gay, but I'm scared to talk about Trump because, the backlash I'm going to get, or I'm a woman, I'm a young woman, and people are threatening me in college that I can't be for him and all this. We had a guest months back. He was a gentleman in California who was beaten at a Trump rally for wearing the hat. And he actually said, and this has stuck with me, and I've mentioned this many times since, he said coming out of the closet as a gay man was cake compared to coming out as a Trump supporter to his friends who disowned him after that, which is just unbelievable to me. But I guess they're not your friends to begin with. Now, you've had a great career, still rolling here. Member of the Pussycat Dolls, which everybody knows the Pussycat Dolls. And see, that's what I think Trump was referring to during that whole controversy. He was trying to talk up your old group, and I don't know why everybody.
That was it.
Right. So let's get that clear right now. But what's up with you right now, career wise, and tell us a little bit about your life in the entertainment industry, because again, people think far left, but I'm having great guest after great guest who's telling me otherwise.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've been in, music for some time. I was with the Pussycat Dolls for some time, and then moved on and did EDM music, and had, my first kind of solo moment, going gold and doing all of that on my own was with DJ Reggie and Data Life. This was back in 2010. A lot of people didn't even know who Data Life was at the time, when I'd come home from all of these tours in Europe, and I really just fell into developing my music and focusing on who am I now that I've left this group, for my own conservative views. A lot of people didn't understand that. It wasn't what was going on in front of the camera. It was what was going on behind the camera that I just didn't feel was correct for me. And I thought, I was a bit odd and strange that I would walk away from a very multi-million-dollar record deal with a guaranteed opportunity of going all the way to the top. We had a very big machine behind us, a company, and a lot of amazing talent within the group, and also helping the group propel into, the top of the mountain. So I just had to make the right decisions for myself, and I felt EDM was the right, appropriate place for me, and wanted to learn, how do I start a record company? How do I make this happen? How can I change the system for artists and the way that the paradigm is set? And so I focused on building a record company, starting a fashion brand, and developing my music. And so now I DJ as well, and I'm in Las Vegas and preparing a Vegas show that I have created and been in development now for 3 years. So we're going hard into structural mechanicals and all of that of the actual show. So that's what's up with me.
And now she is the EDM princess. Which is,
I've been doing EDM a long time, and my fans gave me that,
which
so I
is
just
completely
went with it.
politically incorrect to say, right? I must address you as a non-woman or man. We must all be exactly the same. So now, listen.
No.
Let me tell you this. What I really like is what you've been doing lately, and I want to talk about that because you've been out in public talking at Trump events. You've been speaking to people. What is it now? I mean, he's the president now, and a lot of people have just gone back to their business or they're protesting against him. Why do you find it important to be out there to speak for him while he's in office? And what are you getting? Because we see the craziness on social media and the maniacs who go after all these great Americans like yourself, but I'm sure you're getting some great feedback too, and that's what we love to hear.
Well, 90% of it has been really positive. 5%, I would say, is questioning all of the above, and then you have a good 5% that are death threats and threatening and belittling or mean.
Because that's normal to threaten people with death who they voted for. Yeah.
But that's this is like the antithesis of what democracy is not, and for me, I have just been aggravated for some time, but I privately was aggravated. It was within my home. It was amongst friends that had called me and said we were voting for Trump, or they had an idea that I was voting for Trump, or they wanted to find out who I was voting for. So there was a lot of privacy. Not a lot of people knew my political views. And I just kept mum's the word, for a good portion of my life. This is what you do in entertainment. You're so concerned about what people will think, what people will feel, don't want to hurt anyone. You have to be kind of forever loving and all the way around, not discriminative to any one sector of the world. You have to just be open to all of it. And I, felt imprisoned that my views could not be shared. And Joy, Andre, and myself have been friends for, me and Andre go back for almost 5 years. Joy and I go back, 3.5, nearly 4 years. So we've been friends for a decent period of time. None of us actually called each other or discussed who we were voting for. This was not part of, a plan of action of getting attention.
That's so great. I love that part of this story.
But that's the truth. And, the truth is sometimes better, and people think it's written, and it's like, no, it's not. I was attending the Grammys. I'm a voting member of the Recording Academy. I've been a part of the Recording Academy for some time. Joy was in attendance as well. We met at the carpet, and I had talked to her the night before, talked to her all week because we were friends. We had the same makeup artist. So, this isn't like, oh, we're Hollywood friends. No, we're real friends. So we see each other, we talk, we hang out. And I didn't know that she was going to wear this. And I immediately whispered in her ear, you have such guts, such balls, and thank you. That was what I said to her. And she said, wait, you voted for Trump? Like, that was the first thing out of her mouth. And I said, I did. And she's like, we don't have to hide anymore. And we started tearing up. It was like amazing. A moment. And so, to watch what happened that evening inside of the auditorium was really interesting because Chance the Rapper won, and we were in the elevator the night before. I had no idea who he was. He'd mentioned that he was nominated. I said, good luck, I'll see you there. We went our separate ways. That evening, he gets announced, and the first word out of his mouth, or the first sentence out of his mouth, is, I just want to give glory to God. And he kept repeating that. And I saw how interesting that the entire arena was screaming for it.
Yeah.
The world, in my opinion, was saying something, not only with Joy and the impact she had that night and getting updates on the phone and seeing that she was at number 16 and talking to her on the phone and going, oh my gosh, and so at 5:50 a.m. I woke up and checked the chart and I texted her. I said, you need to wake up. You're at number 6. Get up right now. She, didn't know. And so it was incredible to see that there are so many of us that have felt really, imprisoned vocally on sharing our views for fear of, being attacked, fear of being judged, and more importantly, fear of being looked at, that we're judging other human beings because of our personal views. It's strange. And I chose to come out when Joy and Andre, they did their Fox and Friends was the first, one of the first interviews they did. And immediately, Joy texted me and said, I love the video you posted, but will you post a picture in your Trump shirt? Because she knew I had bought a Trump shirt. I went to Washington, D.C., bought this Trump shirt, and was never able to wear it. And I said, I don't want to take the moment away from you. That's not something I'm trying to do, is to get attention. And she said, no, I really need support right now. And in that exact moment, it was 100%. She is my friend for real. And this is my truth for real. So why am I scared to stand up for my friend or for myself? What's wrong with me if I don't do this? Like, something's wrong with you if you cannot stand up to your own truth, let alone one of your dear friends who actually needs support, because no one was coming out and speaking about it within what was going on with Joy. That it just kind of was Andre and Joy. Christy had done it beforehand, Dean Cain, all of the different celebrities that have come out through the year. But there was an immediate response of positive. And, I felt I needed to stand behind my friend, and I needed to stand behind my own truth. I didn't realize that it would turn into, me then having to talk even more about it. But it's been really, really therapeutic to actually not have to pretend that I'm not what I am, or that I'm not a conservative girl, or that I don't pray to God, or that I'm not 100% behind our country. It feels really, really nice to be able to say all of those things and feel the incredible love back with people saying, thank you. This is my truth. 15, 13, 14-year-old LGBT community children reaching out to me, because that's my core fan base. When I left the Pussycat Dolls, no one would play my record necessarily. I was an ex-doll. I was trying to do my music and dance music. I wasn't in a major record company. I was doing it independently. And here was this really beautiful community to say, you're getting behind us because of the military reasons. I'd went to Iraq. I was inspired by what was going on with our LGBT community in Iraq, and feeling that Prop 8 and all of these things were affecting the community. And I wanted to speak out. Now that community was getting behind my music. And there was this, kind of disconnect moment of feeling I was no longer close to the closest fan base of mine, that I didn't understand why they didn't understand my views of voting for Trump. And so every day that I've received messages from children that are gay, lesbian, bisexual, saying, thank you, because I'm a conservative, I pray to God, and I'm questioning my sexuality or going through my process. I just find it really, really amazing to know that this isn't in vain. This is actually helping youth understand they're not alone.
It is such an amazing feeling, right? When you're out there and you say, do I want to go through the hassle if I wear this hat or wear this shirt today? But then when you see someone who is afraid to do it and they come up to you and thank you for having it. And that's what we went through with the signs on the lawn and with the stickers on the car. And, every time a person would go by and honk, I mean, the old folks, little old lady drive by with the big thumbs up.
Right.
No sticker on her car because she'll get a rock through it. But here she is saying, hey, thanks. And then my kids see her and see that excitement for our president, and really what it's for is our country. And
that's right.
It's amazing. And, Andre even said, too, you said about how you all didn't discuss it really that much before. I mean, he basically designed the dress, and as he told Joy, he said to her, oh, did you vote for Trump? And she said, oh, yeah. And he said, oh, good. And then they moved forward. So, I mean,
Yeah, no, that's the truth.
It's amazing.
There's no discussion. There was no discussion. This is what's scary, is that we couldn't talk.
I know. And I love that you're all like, oh, the deep breath, and everybody's, the same page. And I think we all, especially those of us who were for him from the beginning, have gone through that and continue to talk about it. And I also love that you use the term balls, because Sarah Palin uses it many times, and it's really funny that you and Governor Palin and Joy Villa and others and Christy Swanson have more balls than, say, Paul Ryan and Barack Obama and some others out there. It really amazes me that we have to say this, but it is very true, and we appreciate the guts that you've shown, because but you also alluded to how you prioritize things. And I think that's another thing that's very Palin-esque about what you're talking about. You said, you had a machine behind you. You could have went the easy road and, maybe this would be quote unquote success to some people, but you made hard decisions about what was good for you, your family, yourself. And, and that's what we've seen from Palin, and that's what we've seen from Trump, a guy who's had all, and then he goes and is going to go get this headache of trying to run the country and get death threats and have your family at risk and actually lose money. I mean, and that proves the credibility of not only our president, but of Governor Palin and of yourself and of your friends. And we appreciate that because it's genuine. I mean, you walk the walk.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. No, Governor Palin's amazing. I mean, she's been doing it for a very long time. For Trump, he funded a lot of these candidates. He did that, so I don't even know what else he would have chosen to do. He kind of has done it all when it comes to being a developer, a builder, a reality star that turned it into a mega brand where you see that name. It was, like saying Hilton or anything else. It was a very important American brand he created. And I just can't imagine him doing anything else because he's ballsy, he's to the point, he says his feelings, he's curt. And to some people that comes off as being, brash or being, too strong or too this. But to me, I think that it's very candid. And we need that because there's been this, smiling, everything's fine, and everything isn't fine.
Right, exactly.
We know this because we can feel it, and we feel it among our community of our neighbors, our friends, and our family. So to have someone stand up there and actually say, you're not crazy, you're not lunatics, this is really what's going on, and I can see it, and I want to get behind you on this. It was really wonderful to have someone really step up and say what needed to be said, because a lot of us, from 2012, I knew I was never going to vote for Hillary. Benghazi situation to me, all the questions that were going around that entire incident and, seeing what was going on with General Petraeus, and now she has a concussion. And to me, it was just excuse, derail, because we need answers to what happened. And, I don't forget that. I don't think a lot of Americans do. And the ones that do don't understand. But if you remember what was going on in 2012, 13, and all of that, you will then go, well, why would I ever vote for that candidate? It was so scripted and so, really well played politically in the PR arena. To me, that just seemed odd. And knowing what I know and have worked with so many different branches of the military, from the VA to actually touring Iraq and doing things for the military, I just feel that it really opened my eyes. And I think artists need to do that. They need to understand the country that they're a part of and the incredible men and women and what they do. And a lot of them can't share what they do unless you meet them in, their neck of the woods. They don't go out and say what they do. They can't. And it's really wonderful when they get to share with you what they do for a living and how important it is for all of us. And, that lack of understanding and lack of love for our men and women who serve our country, who keep us safe, and who will be the first ones on the front line if anything was to go wrong, to disregard them is just so cruel and not right whatsoever. So I think that, I think it's really lovely that you guys had me on. That's nice.
Well, it's very well said. And, not to use the P word in a third context here, but I like what you said about, the way Trump talks and the way some of his supporters talk. Well, you can pussyfoot around and you could pretend that everyone loves us and do the whole kumbaya thing, or you could actually deal with reality and protect us and go that route. And what I love about that is you look at, say, someone put it very well. I think it was Franklin Graham. He said, with the whole border situation, he says, let's look at our homes at night. We don't lock our doors at night because we hate everyone outside. We lock our doors at night because we love everyone inside.
That's right.
And I thought that was so well put. And as far as the way Trump talks and the rest of us, I always say this. If your child was being abducted and taken into a van, do you go over and say, kind sir, might you give him back, please? Or do you fight tooth and nail and do everything you need to do? And when you're fighting savages who want to hurt our country, in the similar way,
That's right.
then you
That's
have to
right.
go at it the same way. And Donald Trump did, and he won. And you all are doing it right now. She's super talented and really great, as you could tell from what we heard in this interview, and what you're doing for our country right now is just amazing. Thank you for being with us, and I hope maybe we'll talk to you again.
Well, thank you and Governor Palin for what you guys are doing on this network. It's wonderful.
For more on Kaya Jones, visit kayajones.com. Now it's time for Sarah Palin News, headlines, and more about Governor Palin. The sugary drink tax isn't so sweet after all. Democrats make a horrible threat regarding the proposed border wall. While Snoop promotes violence toward the president, Sarah Palin asks, what if a country star did the same toward our last president? Poor Colin Kaepernick can't find a job. He may have to sit down for a long while. Palin calls on the GOP to man up. Rachel Maddow's tax faux pas, good for a few laughs. The Iditarod crowns a champ. A whopper of a mistake from McDonald's. Wishing Americans a happy St. Patrick's Day while remembering President Reagan. And Governor Palin features my new article on Christy Swanson. The original Buffy is slaying liberal narratives with patriotism. Thank you, Governor Palin, for showcasing my piece on Christy. To read about all of these stories, visit the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, and to read her devotionals, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page. Follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and don't miss the news, sarahpalin.com. Now let's head to the crow's nest. Here's Tanya Crow.
Thanks, Kevin. So, I would like to explore the action of stigmatization, or to stigmatize. To describe or regard something such as a characteristic or a group of people in a way that shows strong disapproval. To set some mark of disgrace or infamy upon. So, stigmatization, or to stigmatize, has been used for many decades by the left on the right. I was afraid of being stigmatized. Uncompassionate, heartless, racist. That tool, that weapon that the left has used so powerfully and successfully for so long is being exposed for what it is. Untruthful and intellectually dishonest, that used to manipulate and to shut down a group of people. And it feels like that hold that the left has had on the right for so long when it comes to utilizing and brutalizing, in my opinion, through the act of stigmatization, that has very little power anymore. And it's just not working anymore. Sexist, xenophobe, bigot, those labels, the clutches of stigmatization, are not what they were. This is Tanya Crow with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tanya Crow on Mama Grizzly Radio. More from the Crow's Nest next week. Now, on Target with Kelly Carlson.
Thanks, Kevin. So today I'm going to talk about the legal immigration process. I'm also going to touch on illegal immigration. A very, very close friend of ours is going through the process of becoming a U.S. citizen. And we've been with him through the whole process. And, you know, it's interesting because I'm a big champion of the border. And I still am. Believe me, that doesn't change. But what I never understood was how much our legal immigration process contributes so heavily to illegal immigration. I just didn't know what it entailed, but I've since learned. And I'm astonished because I really don't know how the average person can do it. It's when you do it the proper way, no loopholes, no welfare, no anchor baby, nothing like that. I'm talking about the proper process. You have to live in the States while going through the process, of course. But you cannot work. But you have to live here. You have to find a home. If you're lucky, you can stay with somebody. But what if you have like a family? It's hard enough for one person, let alone, 3 of you, let's just say. So you have to stay here. Our friend, he's going on about his 5th, 6th month of not being able to work, but he has to support his family and live here in the United States. The amount of money, the cost for, all the processing fees, all the shots, oh my gosh. To date, he's at about $5,000. So you have to have that money before you come here. You have to have saved that. And then on top of that, enough money to live for, let's just say, almost a year without working. So why in the world would anybody go through the process? How, I understand that they can't, work while they're here, but why couldn't they get a temporary visa just for the time that the process is going through so they could at least pay for an apartment or a house, anything, bills, while going through this process? And maybe someone out there knows the answer. I don't. I really don't know how somebody coming from Mexico has, this amount of money stashed away and do this above board. I'm shocked. And the cost is around $5,000 now, but it's not over. There's more. There's more coming. He just got a letter saying for the last step could be another 8-month wait. So don't we need to possibly reform this for people like our friend who, let's just say he's passed a lot of, like live scans, and because he worked for the government. So, and he's assisted the U.S. as well. Isn't there a way to recognize outstanding individuals that are trying to do it the right way and help expedite somehow because they're following the rules? When you have something like the cartel in Mexico, where this is their business, getting people across the border, set up, and dispersing them throughout the United States. When you have the cartel charging people $5,000 to cross the border and that's it, well, look, there's more cost than that, but it may not be financial. No wonder everybody goes to them. Now, somebody comes here and has a baby, they go straight to the head of the line. El Chapo's daughter tried to have a baby here so that she can get her citizenship because her daughters will. Because when you have I know anchor baby isn't the best term, I guess, but when you have an anchor baby, you go straight to the head of the line. You don't wait. And there's 100 other loopholes on top of, coming here as a tourist and having your baby. There's more. There's asylum. There's, the list goes on. So when you look at the minority of people that are choosing to take the proper steps, why are they not recognized? It just doesn't seem like they are. First of all, I don't know anybody who can actually complete this unless you have a lot of money saved. So anyways, something to think about. It's just baffled me how our friend can do this. Because, he's actually married to a woman who's an American citizen. They have a baby who's an American citizen. but he has to go through the process of, so he has a family to support. Anyways, been interesting. It taught me a lot because I feel like if we could tweak our legal process, it wouldn't give people a reason to come here illegally as much. It would help. It would be part of the wall, per se. Anyways, I hope Trump's doing it. Thanks so much, Kevin. This is Kelly Carlson for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in for more On Target next week. Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
This week, President Trump released his first budget. And I thought it was a really great starting point towards cutting real fat at the federal level. And the budget came on the heels after he had announced wanting to cut the Department of State by 25% in terms of their employees and the EPA by more than 30%. I love it. But the best part was the complete meltdown by the mainstream media. It was awesome. People talking about how just dismayed and upset they were that Trump is trying to cut the administrative state. No, people. He's going to dismantle the administrative state. Deal with it. I mean, this weeping and gnashing of teeth on Capitol Hill and beyond began almost immediately with the cries over the Republicans hate Big Bird because Trump said we're cutting the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which is almost $500 million a year of your money, paying for nothing but liberal junk on the airwaves, on television, on radio through NPR. Please, Democrats, have a clue. Where are you? Why don't you pick up the cause? Why don't you pay for Big Bird? Okay? Why don't you pay for all the Muppets in your childlike theater, right? Because that's what this is. Those crocodile tears, thanks to the Democrats, are pure theater. I just wish Trump would be a little bit more stronger and a little bit of a heavier hand on cutting, because the budget is almost neutral is what it really amounts to, because in what he cut, he added to programs such as defense spending, which he increased. So what I'm thinking of is Trump mentioned that he wants to do more with less and make the government lean and accountable to the people. This is a great start, but I think there's definitely a possibility for him to continue to cut more. I'm calling on the Congress to even cut more, right? Because the liberals, in their crocodile tears, they aren't anchored in any reality. They aren't concerned whatsoever with the $20 trillion in debt and over $100 million, $1 trillion in unfunded liabilities. We've got to cut everything non-essential. Hey, you know what? If someday we can afford to bring back the home energy assistance program or the weatherization assistance for low-income families, once we've got a rainy day fund that's filled with $1 trillion, that'd be a great thing to consider. But for right now, this is perfect demonstration of why America is in such deep trouble. Because we aren't equal. When you've got the federal government paying for these kind of stupid programs that I've never even heard of before, we can only be equal when each one of us is subject to every law and the Constitution is applied equally to each one of us. So when we have half the country not paying any income tax, but getting fat checks back from the feds to supplement this or that, these people we're not self-governing, and we're certainly not self-sufficient. So if these programs are so vital, then the states can fund them. This is what I work on every day with the Convention of States Project, right? The states should be taking the lead on all of this. The states should be funding local activities and programs in schools and after-school programs and roads and bridges and any other anti-poverty or low-income programs. Because this is what our nation was founded upon. That the states should have all the endless opportunities to create these programs, while the federal government has a very tiny sphere of influence within its constitutional boundaries. And not to mention, because it is a gazillion times cheaper for the states to fund these programs, rather than for the federal government to act as a middleman. Ultimately, what this would mean is that fat cat bureaucrats get a pink slip from Donald Trump. And all those salaries and all that money that goes to the salaries and benefits, that money just gets automatically not just returned to the states, but it never comes to the federal government in the first place. Not only that, it also frees up the states from costly federal regulations directly tied to these programs. Let's look at education and Medicare, are two perfect examples. The Trump budget also targets transportation cuts, especially the Essential Air Service Program. Again, never heard of it. But this program actually subsidizes half-empty airline flights to little-used airports all around this country. So pick anywhere USA, small town in Iowa, small town in Minnesota, small town in Montana, or small town in Nebraska. The federal government is subsidizing these flights. Well, no wonder a majority of taxpayers can't afford to fly themselves on vacation, because they're already paying for all the small airports in all these states to get kickbacks because the flights aren't full. Are you kidding me? Is this insanity? And of course, the federal bureaucrats are making up all these rules, creating all these fees in silent. Because I'm telling you, no one else knows these are going on. A lot of these programs, this is the first time they're coming to light that we are seeing in Trump's budget, with him cutting them. This is happening right now with Amtrak. Newt Gingrich has always said, I really admire Speaker Gingrich, because he's always said, we need to look at privatizing some of these agencies, like the mail and like trains. Perfect example. Why? What Trump is doing with budget cuts to these agencies is that it will force them to improve their self-sufficiency of the overall system. And this is good for consumers and bad for inefficient big government anything. This is what Governor Palin did in Alaska. She cut Alaska's budget by 30% and created a $6 billion surplus. And this was back in 2009. Her philosophy was to focus on fiscally conservative budgets that provided essential public services and invested in communities and resource development, which would ultimately, long-term, fuel the Alaska economy in the future. So I look at that and I think, man, Governor Palin was so ahead of her time, because right now we have 34 states with Republican governors at the helm. She was on the cusp of this incredible trend of great conservative executive officers for states that enabled a majority of the country to get a better grasp on why conservative budgets always work for the people and the states. But I need to go back to Big Bird. In 2012, Mark Levin wanted to purchase Sesame Street. He had a plan for this show that he said, I could make a fortune with it and it wouldn't cost the taxpayer one dime. And what I love most is this budget, this cut specifically to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, puts the onus of the arts back on Hollywood, right? So-called the art and entertainment experts in our country. Well, of course they're claiming that. But now, these celebrities that are freaking out over the cuts, bye-bye National Endowment for the Arts, bye-bye public broadcasting, and good riddance. These folks were extremely one-sided in their propaganda, operating as almost an extension of the Democrat Party. So here you've got celebrities, agents, producers, studio executives worth millions and millions of dollars. Now it is time for them to put their money where their big mouths are. Judd Apatow, if you want the arts, good. Start a nonprofit or an endowment in your area. Fund it. Let's see if he'll do that. Or any of you. If I was a free market, free thinking major studio head, the first thing that would have come to my mind, I would have gotten my legal team on the phone and said, okay, we're going to put a bid on Sesame Street. I want it. I want it under the Universal header. I want it under the Sony label. I want it under the Paramount umbrella. Duh. I'm looking for leaders among leaders in the Hollywood crowd, and there is crickets. None. Zero rising. Too bad there are no more creative thoughts in Hollywood. I see opportunity. Hollywood sees disaster, and it's awesome. It's great to see these hypocrites on full display. No, I want to keep my $50 million in my Malibu mansion. You, the lowly taxpayer, should have to pay for that. Dude, the days of free rides are over. I want everyone to pay their fair share, and you know what? There's plenty to go around if we just equalize the playing field by getting back to the Constitution and the rule of law and getting rid of the liberal bunk. Keep the cuts coming, Mr. President. You are on the right track. Let me know what you guys think this week. You can tweet me at Tamara Colbert, hashtag Mama Grizz Radio. And do not fall for any liberal spin on Republicans trying to kill Big Bird. It is just another liberal ploy to use their feelings instead of action and thought for real decision making for the future of America. Have an awesome week. I'm Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy, on target. And The Crow's Nest is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, at Tanya Yoga 13, and at FBR ABQ. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I'm also contributing to SarahPalin.com. Please check out my latest piece this week. Honored to be working on the governor's new site. I want to thank Tamara Colbert, Tanya Crow, Kelly Carlson, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Kaya Jones, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Full Battle Rattle. Visit Facebook.com/Full Battle Rattle ABQ. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update, right here on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.